Hello and welcome everybody to the Money Mindset Manifesting Business Show. We have got our beautiful Brigette with us today, and we are going to be talking about all sorts of mental health, trauma, PTSD that entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants go through silently, which is really not good for you or your business or anyone around you. So I'm just going to introduce Brigette real quickly. It's Brigette Sobus, is a dynamic coaching consultant dedicated to empowering individuals to build thriving businesses and lead fulfilling lives. With her background in business transformation, she's known for revitalizing struggling ventures and guiding them to remarkable success. Brigette's expertise lies in coaching individuals to step into leadership roles with confidence, fostering power, joy, and prosperity. As a seasoned practitioner and trainer, she holds certifications as a Master NLP Coach, a Master Practitioner of Timeline Therapy, and Master Hypnosis Practitioner. Brigitte's commitment to personal and professional growth led her to expand her toolkit, attaining certification in advanced coaching for trauma, PTSD, and addiction. So beautiful, Brigette. She also incorporates somatic coaching and Reiki into her practice, furthering enhancing her ability to facilitate holistic transformation and healing. I love it so much. I love everything about that. Brigette, tell us about yourself. Let's dive straight into this juicy topic.
Yeah, so great to be here with you, Yvette.
Yes.
So gosh, I've been an entrepreneur for over 18 years now, which is so hard to believe. My first venture was I owned a hair salon. So I was a master certified hair colorist, and I was going through I was working at a salon making a six-figure income, and I was like, if this person can own a business, so can I, because it was pretty dysfunctional. And I bought the business. I became a dysfunctional owner, and then I gratefully was introduced to a coach and consultant. And that was back in 2005, which coaching and consulting wasn't really as popular as it is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But working with him, I started turning my business around. I grew it by 30-40%. I got my six-figure paycheck back. I could actually start leading a team without crying, which was pretty cool. It became award-winning, an award-winning business. And I was inspired to become a coach. So that was the first step for me becoming a certified coach with the International Coaching Federation. And what was funny was that in 2010, I met a woman at an event because I already had started becoming a trainer as a business coach consultant. And I was going through a really tough divorce. And I met a woman that was a master coach. And I was like, I just want to become a life coach. Like, I'm a hot mess. My life felt like it was falling apart because I was going through this divorce. And she's like, well, this program's starting like next week or like next month in Chicago. So I tell everyone that anyone that ever says to me, oh, I would really love to be a coach, but I have to get my own life together first. There's actually no better time
Yeah,
to become a
100%.
coach because it
Yeah.
helps you get your, whatever that even means, life together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that was kind of my first track on my first coaching certification back in 2013. And then throughout that whole thing, I mean, I'm going to keep this brief because we'll probably go into more, but then like I went through divorce. Everyone is free and clear of this, but then I had breast cancer for the first time.
My gosh.
Then because of my divorce, to get out of it, because I felt like I was trapped in it. My ex-husband was he was a drug addict and he has passed on. But to get out of the divorce, I took on 100% of the debt. So I wanted to legally get away from him, which led me into $1.3 million of debt, which is crazy.
Wow.
So I was in $1.3 million of debt. I owned a profitable business. And then I was faced with now filing bankruptcy to get out from the debt. And I had lots of advice to do that. So then I filed bankruptcy. And then I tried to I actually did buy my own business back, but that was 2019 was dark night of the soul year. It was kind of like working on buying my own business back because I got super ego driven. I was like, no one's going to take my business away from me. I'm going to lose it on my own terms. But it didn't really go that great because I
Right.
think the universe was being like, you're
Yeah.
ready for something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did sell the salon. And then what really led me to do the work I do now is that I got my first certification in NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnosis. And prior to that work, I was like a high performer. Like I really did well under like traditional coaching, if you will.
Right.
But something would always happen where I would keep getting snapped back like a rubber band over and over again. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I had a breakthrough. And then I would like get re-triggered and it would be going back. And then I would even think to myself, which everyone's free and clear of, I had such rampant negative emotions and like negative thought patterns that wouldn't stop.
Yep.
And I would literally say, I sometimes wish I could get a lobotomy to disconnect from these negative thought patterns and these emotions.
Yeah.
So NLP was my healthy way of getting a lobotomy, if you will.
Right.
Not getting one.
Right. Your
So
healthy way
I
of
was
getting
like,
high.
I could keep going, but like that's kind of the, the shortest version I could probably say, which leads me to do the work I do now, which you had mentioned
Yeah, yeah.
in my
Oh, but it's fascinating. Why is it that so many entrepreneurs struggle in silence with mental health? I mean, you were saying you were spiraling, and there's no ways you're going to say to a client or a fellow whatever, like I'm
yeah.
really struggling, because you feel like you need to have your SHIT together, right? I've
Yeah.
got, my life is sorted. So why is it that so many struggle in silence, and how would it impact their leadership skills, their business growth, like reaching goal, success, all of the things? It will literally keep them trapped and sabotaged and all that.
Yeah. Thanks for asking, because statistically, 81% of entrepreneurs suffer silently. And I actually just said that to a group of entrepreneurs on a training I was doing a couple days ago. And you know what they said? They all said, we can't believe we can't believe it's not higher.
Yeah, I agree with that for
Right?
sure. For
So
sure.
lots of entrepreneurs suffer silently, and I was definitely one of them back then. I mean, it was like ego driven. It was interesting because when I was running my salon, working on buying it back from bankruptcy, going into like I felt like I was in flight or fight mode every day of my life. I did my best to put on a mask. My coaching clients, like I tell them now, like
Yeah,
that I'm still in relationship with, I'm
yeah,
like, I tell the story now, and they're like, we had no idea. And
yeah,
then they were like successfully. So and I think entrepreneurs believe this is the belief system that's running, that if they were to go and tell someone, if they were to go to help, they're going to be perceived as possibly, and everyone's free and clear of this, but the possibly weak or not good enough, or they really don't
yeah.
know what they're doing, or they
Right.
possibly can't handle it. So I believe a lot of entrepreneurs just like shove it down, shove it down, shove it down. But unfortunately, that's where when you're not taking care of your mental health, then your physical health will start to be
100%.
compromised.
100%. And you mentioned that when I went through breast cancer the first time, so I'm going to assume there was a second time.
Yeah.
And that to me is trauma trapped in the body that never got released, right? Knock on
Yes.
wood. And that
Yes.
would be another question, is how would the unresolved trauma and PTSD affect even decision making, and just your confidence as a business owner showing up, social media and trainings, and like showing up as this confident woman, but deep down, if you've suppressed it, like how would that affect that?
Yeah, so the owners that I've worked with and how I see it showing up for them and how it affects them, they shut down on decision making. They
Really?
question themselves constantly. They get stuck in the same patterns. They could possibly have So 95 to 97% of people's behaviors, reactions, and decision making come unconscious, are from our unconscious mind. So a lot of owners I've worked with have experienced that, like, if they get upset with their employee or someone, they have automatic outbursts and automatic reactions, which then leads to, loss of retention with employees. People pleasing, being afraid to, I worked with people that were, before they worked with me, afraid to implement new systems or new
Wow.
compensation structures because they didn't want to, they didn't want to upset people. So they just keep it the same.
Mm.
There's a lot, I mean, sleepless nights,
Mm.
over analyzing, overthinking. I mean, stress
Yeah.
is through the roof, anxiety is through the roof.
You got that anger simmering below the surface
Yeah,
24/7, just waiting to like, "Rah!" Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
then it
yeah.
turns into owners resenting their own businesses that they created.
Sure, they want to burn it to the ground and go get a 9 to 5 job
Yeah,
and hate
yeah,
that as well. Right. So it's very much dealing with the core issue instead of just the surface level, because they feel if I change the surface level, the environment, it's going to be better. But you still go to this other environment, right? So it's really just to release that.
yeah.
So it really comes down to belief patterns and that as well. So what would some of these hidden belief patterns be that will keep them stuck in stress, overwhelm, burnt out, frustration, like all the things that just spiral? Can you talk
Yeah,
about those beliefs?
I mean, the common ones that I come across, well, even with money, like people have deep-seated limiting beliefs and decisions around money. So
Yeah.
that could be a thing, like, making a lot of money and then losing a lot of money, and then that could be like a pattern or a roller coaster. It could, and then the not deserving, not good enough, like nothing is ever good enough. I mean, I know that was one of mine. At the heights of my
Yeah.
success, when I was the height of my success with my salon and doing coaching consulting work, I was producing like over 1.4 million in revenue, and nothing was ever
But
good enough. I was always on to the next and the next and the
yeah.
next and the
And the
next.
thing is, what I feel is you always chase the bigger goal because then I'm going to be happy,
Yeah,
right? And if you sort that happiness out energetically now,
yeah,
every goal isn't going to make you happier. You're just stepping into a bigger version of yourself. And that makes you so happy, right?
yeah.
It's not the money, they know the sports car or whatever. So I just love that. You mentioned in our little pre chat before we started that you have a lovely free gift to offer the audience about these blocks. Could you give us
Mhm.
like a little bit just to explain to them why they have to go click the link and get that resource?
Yeah, so it's the three biggest blocks to your coaching consulting. I also believe entrepreneurs exponential growth
Yeah.
in the business. So it's a guide that I created, and to that guide, it kind of gives like the ahas of like, oh yeah, that gets in my way. Oh, that gets in my way. Like especially people pleasing. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are closet people pleasers.
For
And
sure.
you know, and so then it gives like tips on, how to move through that. And then also there is a link and an opportunity in there to schedule a 60-minute power, joy, and profits discovery call with me.
That is wonderful. I love that. So, everybody watching, I'm going to go drop that link in the description below. Grab it, get hold of Brigette, sort out your blocks. Let's clean it up so that you don't have to keep spiraling in all the stress. I want to ask you one more question, Brigette. For entrepreneurs that have tried everything and just nothing seems to work, what is one really powerful tip that you can give them to make a really profound shift? Like just something, an actionable tip that they can just do to shift, like mentally, emotionally. What would you say they could do?
I first and foremost breathing techniques. That would probably be reminding yourself to take a step back, to pause.
Right.
Yeah, pause. Like when you notice that trigger of like wanting to react, actually take a pause and deep breathing, whether it's box breathing, like breathing in through the nose for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, releasing for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, and doing that at least 4 times. Like and even if like you're in the moment and somebody's like in front of you that you're being triggered by, you can even just do deep breaths in and deep breaths out. Like pausing is huge. Remind yourself to pause. There's power in the pause.
I love that.
And then, there's like when you want to take it even deeper, if that like negative thought spiral starts happening, like really starting to question it. Like, what has me really have this thought?
Mm,
What is this thought about?
yes.
Because I call it the itty bitty shitty committee.
So
Like I mean, it's just, yeah. And unfortunately, there's other, I love statistics, Yvette.
yeah, yeah, go, go.
Like, I think it's like 90%, the average person, I think 90% of their thoughts around there are negative. And they continue to ruminate over and over and over again. So people keep thinking about the same thing over and over and over again. And unfortunately, it's just a habit. Like
Yeah.
people, whether a lot of people don't realize it, that they're possibly addicted to negative emotions,
1,000,000%. I did a
addicted to
workshop
the
on
flight or fight mode.
yeah, I did a workshop on addictive emotions a couple of years back. And it is fascinating when you boil it down and say, okay, what is my biggest emotion that I constantly struggle with? Is it irritation? Is it disappointment, sadness, anger, whatever it is? Subconsciously, you're going to go and create a circumstance to feel that emotion because it is like
Mhm.
shooting heroin, I suppose. I have no
Yeah.
idea what it feels like to shoot heroin, but I can just
No,
imagine.
I hear you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I love that you just told us a little bit about breath work. Could you just tell us what is NLP? What is the timeline you were talking about? Just a little bit that the people can just understand
Mhm.
the lingo that you
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah. So NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and it really is a lot about reframing the way you think, your communication. It works with the conscious mind and the unconscious. There's a lot of there's like a lot of techniques under the umbrella of
Sure.
NLP. Like one of them is, it's called an anchoring technique, and like you can be in control of your state versus your state being in control of you. Reframing the way you're think or saying things. So another thing that you can, practice doing in the moment is you really noticing how are you saying? So here, I'll give you an example. If I ask somebody, what type of relationship do you want to be in next? I could easily hear most people are saying, well, I don't want to date, you're all free and clear of this, but I don't want to date a jerk. I don't want to date someone that doesn't have any money. I don't want
Right.
to, they're rattling off all the things they don't want in
Yeah.
someone.
Sure.
The unconscious mind does not process a direct negative. So if I say to you, do not think about a blue tree, do not think about a purple pig,
It,
do not think about your nose. Did you think about any of those? Right.
100% of the time,
Yeah.
yes.
You can't not think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So when someone is so focused on all the things they don't want, which is typically what I experience people doing, they continue to attract it because the unconscious mind thinks that's what you want. So you must reframe and go, I want to date someone that's kind. I want to
Yes.
date someone that's loving. I want to date someone that's, this. So it's focusing on what you want. And then also the biggest thing, the biggest change would be doing your own inner work. Because I mean, okay, so I'm just gonna I'm starting to talk about this more now when I'm being interviewed on podcasts, but like I see a lot of people out there. I see a lot of people out there putting blame and making the narcissist wrong. Constant.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
constantly, the narcissist will do this
Yeah.
to you. The narcissist will do
Yeah.
that to you. This is the red flags of a narcissist. Okay, great. We're going to
That's
look at the red
victim.
flags.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
most important part about all of this is you really got to consider what has you continuously attracting the narcissist.
Ah, that's gold.
So you got to really take a deep inner look on what real, because I had some narcissists in my life. I guess
I
I'm
think we all
not
have.
labeling anyone because I'm not a licensed therapist. So I really do be mindful about labeling people. Okay.
Okay.
So, and I was in some weird codependent dysfunctional relationships. I
No.
100% know that. So you have to do your own inner work versus getting hooked into seeing all that stuff on social media, like constantly blaming the narcissist. So then you can do your work, and then guess what? The narcissist can go be the narcissist over there if they want. And you have your own healthy boundaries.
Yes.
That's my 2 cents on
Yes.
that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel also how you react to them will either put fire on the fuel on the fire, or
Yeah.
sand that will whatever. Yeah, that's so lovely. And then so your energy work will basically also be with hypnosis and the Reiki and all of that. The timeline therapy, that to me was interesting. Somatic coaching,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. So you bring all of this together, obviously, and see what will work best for the individual.
Yeah, and timeline therapy, I'm going to say it's a hybrid of NLP work and hypnosis. And
Right.
it's a very quick and easy, fast techniques. Like I can support someone releasing anger within like I would say probably up to 20 minutes. And it's a very dissociated technique. So I like to use this like metaphor. So it's very different than talk therapy. So I want my client to be dissociated, meaning they're like watching themselves. So
Right.
do you know the movie Story Scrooge and Christmas Carol?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
he
Out
floats
of
out of
body.
his body. Yeah,
Right.
he floats out of his body. He goes into the past and he's watching his past self. He doesn't become his past self. He watches him. And he gets all these new awarenesses and learnings about what was going on that are positive. So then he brings them back to his present and then he changes the trajectory of his life. I mean, there were other things that happened,
Right.
but yeah, so I really like, I understand, like, it's a very, like, I don't want my client to go like feeling the feelings and then like, I'm not having them feel the anger. I'm having them stay disconnected from it and then getting
Mm.
learnings from it. So then it does disconnect from the root cause. So then when I bring them back, I'm like, so can you think about an event they used to feel anger on? And they're like, yeah, but I don't feel it anymore. Like,
Mm.
cool.
Mm.
And then I say, okay, so now go into the future to an unspecified time that if it had happened in the past, you would have felt inappropriate or unwarranted anger. So it's not that people don't experience anger anymore, because I
Yeah.
believe that all ranges of
Yeah.
emotions are healthy. It's just it's different. So they'll feel their anger and then they'll get things go through it quicker, sooner, faster, versus it's the ball and chain that's
Right.
being, going into your cellular system and harboring in there and just
Yeah. And
like
you see red and
get
you start
triggered and you're like angry,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's fascinating. Is there anything else you want to add, Brigette? I know you spoke also about a lot of the nervous system holding the key to everything, really. It's really regulating your nervous system because, as we were saying, that anger, all these trigger emotions simmering at the surface, especially when you are very silently not sharing with people. It's almost like being in an abused relationship and you don't tell your parents or
Yeah.
your besties. It's like that kind of thing. There's something simmering over there. So if you could like what that would you just give on the nervous system? I know the breathing, that was like really nice. It's probably like one of the biggest ones to just really regulate you instantly.
Yeah, and I love doing meditation work. I love doing like visual meditation work from on myself and with my clients, like that's guided. So that what's happening is that they're getting these downloads and they're getting these learnings through it. And then that is also helping calm the nervous system down. Those
Right.
are like some of my favorites. Like I love doing energy work, the somatic coaching, the breathing exercises. But yeah, meditation's probably my favorite. And honestly, it's so funny because when I was going through my first coach training program, we had a weekend that was dedicated to spirituality and meditation. And they took us to this meditation, and all I kept thinking to myself was, when is this going to be over? Gosh, like I was like, it was like an hour, and I was like laying there going, is this over yet?
And then
So
you
if
eat,
someone
and
feels
you've
like
got to
that, no, you're not alone. And then like we all sat and got up and they're like, oh, now journal about your experience. And people were like, and I saw beams of light and this beautiful beast that had antlers and was talking to me. And I'm like, and then they come to me and they're like, and I'm like, I got nothing. Like
No.
I could have waited for that to be over. Fast forward, I've actually embraced the practice. I've trained it. I've taught myself how to do it now, and I absolutely love it. I do it every night. I do it every day. So
Right.
I'm if you had because people are like, I can't get my mind to stop thinking.
Yeah.
It's actually not what meditation really is. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, is there when you really get deeper into it, could you go into the meditation where
Or
you're
a
you're
trance.
really having your mind quiet and no thoughts, but that's not really what meditation is all about. It's not just
Right.
thinking.
Right. And I think it's so profound, as you said, when the client gets the download, because it's their own. It's not as if a coach said, do this. They got it. And it's just teaching them to then really trust that intuition and go with
Yeah.
that vision, take action on that.
Yeah.
It's just profound what can happen after that, right? Um,
Yeah, and I actually just saw this. This is because I always say to my clients and people I work with, I'm like, I'm a catalyst for you to do your own work. And I actually just saw a post of someone that said kind of the similar thing. They're like, as a healer, I am a healer. I personally don't heal you. I
there.
guide you through you
Yes.
doing your own inner healing work.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. Because then they don't have to worship you. They know that they've got that power in them, like, oh, you got the power in you, but you
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do because that's why I love certifying people in NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnosis because I'm like, yes, I absolutely will do breakthroughs with my students too. But when you learn this techniques and the tools, I'm like, it becomes a lifestyle.
Sure.
Like I probably use an NLP tool like every day of my life.
Sure.
Like it really
Absolutely.
becomes like a lifestyle. And that's
Yeah.
how you continue to do your own inner work. And then when a breakdown does happen, because that's life,
Yeah.
then you just know how to move through it quicker, sooner, faster.
Yes. I used to spiral for weeks and weeks and weeks on end.
Yeah.
And like the depression that comes with that and anxiety and all the things. And it's so true. When you use the tools available, it can just shift in a few minutes. Sometimes it's an hour, half a day,
Yeah.
but you get your big girl Brooks on and you get on with life. And I think that is so that just calms your nervous system. You don't have to go
Yeah.
through life in this state of like you were saying, mental health and the PTSD, the trauma, right, of all of it.
Mhm.
Bridget,
Yeah, and
that
I
was
would also yeah, I have one more. I have something to share about that. Like,
yeah,
consider if you are in the if you're committed to retraining your nervous system to be a different way, because your nervous system will be like, whoa, what do you mean we're not going to experience anxiety today. That will happen. Like you will, like when I first started, because mine used to be at 150 out of 100. And now it's like, I don't know, maybe a 2 or 3 sometimes. But in the beginning, I was like, my body was like, what's happening? We feel calm. What's going on? So just know if you are feeling like that, like you're like, wait a second, that's normal. For
It's
the
normal.
retraining.
Right. It's your new normal. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it. Thank you, Brigette. That was absolutely thrilling to chat to you. I just love everything about what you spoke about. Everyone on this call, please go into the description. I've dropped all Brigitte's social handles. Any way you can get hold of her, we'll also put in that super juicy freebie for you so that you can reach out and start regulating your nervous system. And you'll be surprised how fast so much in your life and business turns around that you also go, whoa, what's happening? Because it just really is magical when you start working energetically and not just with all the strategies that we're all taught to do in business, right?
Yeah.
So thank you, Brigette. I
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate your time showing up for us and just chatting to all these wonderful people watching. I'm wishing you all the best and just beautiful abundance and success in your business. And thank you, thank you, thank you. We really appreciate you on the show. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you soon. Let's do a pretty little heart for you. Bye, everybody. Keep well. Bye, Brigette.